Hello everyone, today I'll be watching Attack on Titan Season 2, Episode 7. So before I say anything about this next episode, I just wanted to let you know that my reaction to Episode 1 of Season 2 is still blocked in some countries and apparently also on mobile devices. That's because of copyright, so yeah, I just wanted to let you know that I'll try my best to resolve this issue as quickly as possibly, so that reaction will be again available to everyone. So yeah, let's now talk about Attack on Titan. So, as always, thank you all for all your comments under my previous video. A lot of you highlighted many important things which I missed or I misunderstood or which I forgot maybe from the earlier episodes. Many of you highlighted the fact that there's a high possibility that Reiner was actually pretending to not be able to read that special language which Ymir was able to read. Many of you also highlighted that at the Battle of Trust, when Eren transformed to save his life from that cannonball, that at that moment Reiner was already aware of Eren being a Titan shifter, because Reiner was actually there when Eren came out of his Titan body. Actually, I remember that. Actually, I knew that Reiner was one of those who has seen Eren come out of his Titan body. But as I said, I watched these episodes back in December and it's been really a long time since I watched them, and sometimes, I forget some details, I forget the exact chronological order of some things which happened. And of course, there were a lot of other things which you highlighted in the comment section. But I won't talk about everything right now because I'm a bit short on time today. But yeah, I just wanted to let you know that I'm thankful for all the things you highlighted, explained, or corrected me on in the comment section. But yeah, now episode 7. I'm really looking forward to it because I mean, the previous episode had this enormous reveal, so I'm really curious to see what will happen next. Also, I'm really excited to finally see the opening of Season 2. And yeah, as I said in my previous video, I think that in this episode it will probably continue where it left off. It could also be a flashback episode about Reiner, Bertholdt, and Annie's childhood. Maybe we will follow Levi, Erwin and John, but I really hope that this episode will contain at least some reveals regarding Annie, Bertholdt and Reiner. And it's not like that I don't enjoy watching Levi, John or Erwin, but considering everything that happened in the previous episode, I have so many questions regarding Annie, Reiner and Bertholdt. So I really hope that this episode will revolve around them. But yeah, I think that's it. I guess I'll just start watching the episode. Yeah, but he probably didn't kill them, right? It's the same thing which Annie did to Eren. Or at least I hope so. Interesting.
いつまで体を燃やし続けていられるか見ものだが、いずれ彼は出てくる。殺せ。ためらうな。アルミンと一班は私についてこい。呪いの巨人の相手だ。
ユミルはまだきっと死んでませんので、どうか頼みます。
ライナーとベルトルトはどこですか？あいつら。
Oh, he doesn't know?
えだろ。お前は本当に優秀なやつだった。どんな時でも冷静に対局を見て、自分より仲間のことを一番に考えるやつで。
まるで効かない。それも兄と違って全身が硬い。
That's interesting.
お前ら本当にクソ野郎だ。多分人類史上こんなに悪いことしたやつはいねえよ。てめえはこの世にいちゃいけないやつだ。一体何考えてたんだ。本当に気持ち悪いよ。このでけえこいつが俺がいのから下してやる。
Oh. Well, the Armored Titan seems unbeatable.
もう少し手心ってもんが人にはあんだろ。
力で投げたわけじゃないんだ。相手より力で劣る者が自分を守るための技術だったりするから。
降参する。
降参なんかしてないで学習しなよ。力の使い方と女の子との話し方を。
分かった、覚えるから話せって。なんでライナーが降ってくんだよ。
ねえ兄、私にもそれ。
ただ猛獣に通用するかどうか興味はある。
マジかよ。ついに
俺はミカサに晩飯。お前はどっちだ。
俺は結局どうなったんだっけ。いや、なんで今あの時を思い出す。まさかこれが走馬灯ってやつか。
我を忘れたか。
So she actually taught him.
鎧を投げたぞ。
あれは確か兄がやってた技だ。
その一つはこれだ。俺に戦い方を教えてしまったこと。やった、決め技を聞け。そう簡単に逃がすか。
Whoa. In a way, it's so hard to watch this because I like both of them. But at the end, I think I'm still on Eren's side, definitely.
逃げるんだ。ひとまず壁まで近づけ。ライナーたちの目的はエレンをさらうことだ。
危険だ。二人とも下がれ。いいはずだ。
やはり超大型が、なぜあの野郎がここに。エレンはどこだ。この状況は。
エレンたちはあっち側に。
いいかエレン、君を逃がすためにはライナーの動きを封じ時間を稼ぐ必要がある。さっきの関節技で鎧の足を破壊することはできるか。 昔の戦争で使ってた鎧にも人体の構造上鉄で覆えない部分がある。脇や股の部分と、あとは膝の裏側だ。
いいぜ、その首よこせ。ミカサ、抵抗力が弱くなった。
いける。
やっちまえ。
皆に勝てる。
Is he right. Yeah, it was. I don't know how should I say, but I expected that I will have a hard time watching this whole thing because I just am not entirely sure who should I really root for, you know. Of course, I think if I'll have to decide, I'm definitely on Eren's side, but you know, seeing how Reiner was holding back, like when Mikasa was stabbing him on his shoulder, he did nothing. He didn't try to kill her, you know. The same with Bertholdt. Like, I know, yeah, he swallowed 2 soldiers, one being Ymir. I think it wasn't shown who was the other one, and I also think it wasn't anyone who we know, because I've seen Sasha, I've seen Connie, Krista, Hanji, Hannes, Armin, Eren, Mikasa. I'm pretty sure I've seen them all after that happened, when he swallowed those 2 people, so I think the other soldier was someone which I don't know. And also what I just want to highlight here is that he didn't chew them, you know, he swallowed them. He just has put them into his mouth, the same thing which Annie did when she caught Eren. Seeing those kind of things, you realize that even though they did so many horrible things in the past, but at the end, I don't think they're bad people. It's so hard seeing everything because at the same time, I want Eren to get them. At the same time, I want them to at least get a chance to explain themselves, you know? I don't know what will happen next, but if Eren wins, he will, like, kill them at the spot. Like, the way he was talking through this episode, he was saying so many things about them, how he hates them and things like that. But he said everything in such a relaxed way, which is really uncommon for his, especially because of his personality. So, just indicates that I think he's not really ready to pull this whole thing off. Like, he wasn't ready to kill Annie, but I think that if he would have now the chance to kill Reiner, or Bertholdt, that he would do it. And I don't want to see them die, like, especially, as I said, at least I want to hear their explanation, because as everything is indicating, there's so much more to it than we know as viewers. And yes, of course, just as Eren was remembering those days when his home village fell, I still remember my feelings which I had while watching season 1, these first episodes. I still remember how I felt when I realized that the Armored and Colossal Titan are probably humans in reality. Like, I constantly felt that hatred towards the Armored and Colossal Titan. I just really wanted to see them die, because I really felt that you need to be a horrible person if you're trying to pull off something like a genocide. But then again, you know, but seeing Bertholdt and Reiner through this show, like, especially Reiner, I don't believe he was faking this. You know, of course they definitely lied about some things, but I don't believe that that he was pretending to be someone else, you know. That's why he was on the verge of crying in the previous episode, because he also feels bad about this. Like, it's definitely conflicting to watch this. As I said, some scenes, like that scene when Eren started to use Annie's technique to fight against Reiner, it was satisfying to see that, because, you know, we can now see the progress, I suppose, from the first time when Eren was fighting Annie in the forest of the giant trees, to now here, where he's able to basically go toe-to-toe with the armored titan, who, with what I have seen so far, seems to be even a larger threat than Annie, because, like, they weren't able to do anything to him because of his armor. And yeah, as I said, it definitely was satisfying to see Eren's progress as a fighter, but at the same time, I knew that because of his progress, that could potentially mean that he will kill Reiner, you know? Again, probably the most conflicted episode I've ever watched in Attack on Titan. Like, I just didn't know what to think about the things which were happening. I was just like, should I be happy or should I be sad, you know? Especially because, I don't know if I mentioned that in the previous episode, but I do believe that actually if Eren would actually have decided to just go with Reiner and Bertholdt, then that would actually be the wisest possibility, wisest option. I don't have any specific proof for that, but in a lot of stories you see that sometimes if a character would make a different decision, then the whole thing would be much easier. And I just got a sense here, you know, especially considering what also Reiner said, like when he said that if he goes with them, that a lot of lives will be saved. Like, you know, I just got a sense that if Eren would actually go with them, that would be the right thing to do. But at the same time, is there anyone in this world who would actually do that? Like, if I would be in Eren's shoes, I would do the exact same thing. Like, I would get mad, I would try to kill them. You know, I really don't know, because it's extremely hard to imagine Eren's feelings considering everything that happened to him. Even though he is a hot-headed person, I think I definitely need to give some credit to him, because, like, he could, I mean, you know, some people could lose their minds over something like this. And of course, yes, he was angry and that, but here at the end, he was basically in control of his own Titan body. If you consider everything that happened to him, he's actually doing quite fine, you know, regarding with his, how should I say, mental state, you know. As I said, I just cannot imagine how, especially considering his hot-headed personality, I just cannot imagine how hard must this everything be to him. And at the same time, it's not only hard to him. It would be cool if we also would be able to see Reiner and Bertholdt's, how should I say, inner thoughts, like if we would be able to see them inside the Titans. But I suppose they didn't do that because they didn't want to give up too much information. But I definitely believe that it has to be hard for them. As I said, I had a feeling as if Reiner and Bertholdt were holding back. As you know, before going into this episode, I believed that this episode will continue where we left off. And the most important thing to me was to first see how Bertholdt and Reiner will fight. Like, I just wanted to see if they will be holding back or if they will try to kill everyone. Like, I definitely knew that seeing that would determine my feelings through this episode. Like, for example, if Reiner would decide and try to kill everyone else, like, for example, Mikasa, if he would actually try to kill Mikasa, then I would definitely have some different feelings for this episode, if that makes sense, you know? Because they both, it seemed, at least to me, like that was the sense which I got, that they were holding back a bit, that they tried to avoid killing anyone, and that's why I reacted to this episode the way I did. That's why I was so torn apart during this episode, because this just furthermore proved to me that they're not bad people. At the end, they don't have any ill intentions, you know. You know, it's a high possibility that they were forced. It's a high possibility that they're doing this for a reason which I'm not now aware of, you know. But at the same time, maybe that reason is justifiable, you know. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, it's the same thing which was in the previous episode when Mikasa tried to cut Bertholdt's throat. It was like I wanted that to happen because I was so angry on them. I wanted them to die, but at the same time I didn't want them to die. I'm extremely torn apart on this thing. That's the only thing I can say. Like, it was so cool, and in some moments when they used that music, I think it was the same music when, when Mikasa decided to live in the episode where Eren's Titan form first appeared, and I love that music, and I also feel proud for Eren to be able to control his emotions, to be able to fight in such a good way, He really shined with his fighting abilities today, and I was proud on him especially because I think that he's still my favorite character in this show, and everything that was happening, it's like, it made me feel proud of him, but at the same time, I knew that could result in Reiner's death, like, as I now have mentioned this for the 100th time. I don't know what to really think about this whole thing. I'm really confused, torn apart. I don't know for what should I really wish for, At the same time, I truly understand Eren's point of view, but at the same time, I have a feeling that actually if he would just go with Reiner and Bertholdt, that everything would be really much easier, But yeah, if there's anything which I could still talk about before finishing for today, I think I could talk about the ending, right? Because it definitely was a cliffhanger in a way, and that appearance of Bertholdt and that whole scene was definitely, I wouldn't say shocking, it looked unusual, like I didn't know what he was trying to achieve, and his head was burning and his mouth was wide open, so I was definitely at first a bit surprised by that scene, but then I immediately remembered what happened in the Forest of the Giant Trees when Annie defeated Eren, and she did get him out of his nape, and she also opened her mouth, and it looked similar to what Bertholdt is now doing. So I guess will he maybe try to get Reiner out of his Titan body, to maybe, I don't know, somehow try to escape. Maybe he's trying to do something else. Maybe he will try to knock out Eren, like, I don't know what he could be doing, because that whole scene was, how should I say, happened so quickly, everything, it was so fast that it was just for a second that I was able to see Bertholdt falling down from the wall. Also, I'm not worried because, as I said, it seems as if Reiner and Bertholdt do not want to kill anyone there, and at the same time they're trying to kidnap Eren, not kill him. So I don't think that anything that Bertholdt will now do could resolve in Eren's death, So I'm definitely not worried because of that. I guess I'm curious. I'm curious to see what specifically was now Bertholdt trying to achieve. But yeah, I think I'll now move on to the episode breakdown. So I suppose I'll start by talking about the opening. At this time, I have already rewatched this opening for multiple times because I always do that. I always do that whenever there's a new opening because I try to memorize the melody because then when I'm editing, that really helps with adjusting, aligning the anime footage with my reaction. And I can only say that I really enjoy it. I like this opening. Of course, I hope that no one was disappointed with my reaction to the opening. Like, judging mostly by your comments and judging by my experience with the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure fandom, I know that openings are quite popular, and because of that I always had a slight feeling that people will be looking forward to my reactions to new openings, and as I said, especially judging by your comments, I really had a feeling that a lot of you are looking forward to my reaction to this opening, and I know that my reaction to it maybe looked boring. I don't know, maybe it wasn't really entertaining, or I really cannot find the right word for this. Maybe I looked a bit emotionless while watching, so I suppose that maybe there will be some who will be disappointed with my reaction, but at the end of the day, I'm always trying to be honest, whenever I watch an episode, I just try to relax. I'm trying to keep my reactions as genuine as possible. You know, faking my reaction is just not a possibility for me because it would really look awkward. It would make me feel uncomfortable. And you know, whenever I see a new opening, I try to at first analyze everything that's happening visually, and at the same time I have always been a person who needs to listen to a song for multiple times before judging if I like it or not. So I think my reactions to new openings will always be similar. I mean, that's just who I am, you know. Again, I hope that no one was disappointed. I suppose there will be some, but again, this is who I am. I cannot really change that, you know. Anyways, regarding the opening, what I would like to add is that visually I think this is the best opening yet. Like especially that part when they start to sing Dedicate, and then we can see our main characters on the top of the wall making that Attack on Titan salute, offering their hearts. Also, what I would like to add is that there were some interesting two scenes which stood out to me in this opening. I won't overthink this too much because I really don't know how to take openings. Like, I don't know if I need to take these scenes seriously or not, because I know that some scenes which were shown in the openings never happened, but at the same time some do. Also, a lot of you were afraid that I might get spoiled by this opening. So again, I suppose that there are some things which are true, which will happen, and some things which will never happen. And I cannot really judge which scenes should I take seriously or not, but I will just highlight two scenes which were interesting to me. The first scene was when our characters were like suiting up, they were like getting dressed. It seemed like if they were in a city and trying to prepare for, I don't know, a battle or something like that. We have seen Eren, Mikasa, and we have also seen Reiner. And could that scene maybe mean that Reiner will be given the opportunity to fight for the Corps again? Like, it's highly unlikely at this point. Like, it's really unlikely, judging by the fact that he's the armored titan, right? I mean, also that scene could be a flashback scene. Maybe that thing happened off screen. I don't know what's the truth, but again, as I said, I think it's highly unlikely. I don't believe it that it will be forgiven to him, or that he will again have the chance to fight within the army. But definitely just something that I wanted to highlight. Then the other thing which I wanted to highlight is the final scene with the Beast Titan running with some other animals. There was a whale, I think, and a dinosaur. And what was also interesting was that all of them were transparent, and there was like a red spark inside each one, and that red spark was present through this whole opening. Like, there were multiple images of animals having this spark. Like, I don't really know what's the meaning of this spark inside them. And this whole scene with the Beast Titan, I don't know how to describe it, but it was interesting, weird. Like I don't believe that this will happen, that the Beast Titan will run and along with him there will be some dinosaurs running with him. I don't see that happening. But I definitely don't believe that they have put this scene in the opening for no reason. I think it has a meaning behind it. Now, could it mean that there is no definition to a Titan form? Could it mean that Titan form can also be non-humanoid? Could it mean that there is someone who's a Titan shifter who can actually change into a dinosaur Titan? I mean, if you look at the Beast Titan, he definitely doesn't look as a classic Titan. He seems as a giant monkey rather than a human. So could it actually be possible that some Titan shifters can transform into, as I said, a dinosaur-esque Titan? I mean, there's a possibility, definitely. And that red spark being in each creature, I don't know, is this an indicator that all creatures are connected? Or, I don't know. I guess we'll have to see. Yeah, but I think that that's all regarding the opening. Anyways, let's now go through the story. As Eren transformed, he punched Reiner, they both fell on the ground. And at that moment, Mikasa was thinking to herself, why didn't she cut off their heads from Bertholdt and Reiner? And then she somewhat realized that it was hard for her to do that because they were both her friends, right? Again, just another detail which just proves that all of these characters feel somewhat same as we do, as we viewers. Even though I never had a sense that Mikasa would be hanging out with them. Like, I never really got a sense that Mikasa would spend her time with someone else than Eren or Armin. So I never had a sense that she's that good of a friend with Reiner and Bertholdt. And also, she always was trying to protect Eren at all costs. Reiner was approaching Eren, and even then, while trying to protect Eren, she still wasn't able to kill them. Of course, I'm not saying that she should be able to kill them. I'm just highlighting the fact that even for her, it's extremely conflicting to see this whole thing happening. And then we were following the storyline on the top of the wall. So Bertholdt tried to attack the soldiers on the wall, and they all evaded his attack. But at the same time, he captured someone, it seemed. Like, he was holding Ymir and another soldier, which I also talked about in the post-reaction thoughts. And I talked about how I don't believe that I know that soldier, and I still think so. Like, now, even now, after editing this episode, again, all of the characters which I know seem to be okay. So I think I don't know who that other guy was, that other soldier. And I don't know if Bertholdt did it on accident or was it on purpose. I don't know, I guess we'll have to see, but the main point is that he didn't kill them. He threw Ymir and that other soldier into his mouth, but it didn't seem as he was chewing them. And at the same time, it's like, he saved Ymir in a way, didn't he? She basically would have fallen off the wall. So he basically saved her, and so why would then he kill her? So again, this whole thing reminded me on the Forest of the Giant Trees when Annie swallowed Eren. But on the other hand, all of the soldiers, which were on the top of the wall, interpreted that as murder. They basically thought that he ate them, that he basically killed them. And then Hanji said that they should attack, and they attacked. He was trying to hit them, they were easily evading him, and as they were trying to hit his neck, he basically did the same thing which he did to Eren in episode 5. Basically, a lot of steam started to pour out of his body, but he didn't disappear after that. He maintained that steam and used it as a shield against the maneuvering gear. So basically after that he was untouchable in a way. And I want to add here that this is interesting because it shows again that there's a possibility, that there's an option to control a lot of aspects of a Titan. You know, like if we look at Annie, she was able to harden, crystallize her skin at will. Reiner was in this episode able to remove parts of his armor to try to run faster, and Bertholdt is basically controlling his steam, you know? At the same time, this proves that all of these three are really good and experienced Titan users, and at the same time it proves that there's a lot of possibilities with a Titan body. That there are many things which you can control and master and then use into your own advantage. Anyways, Hanji then decided that because of that, they cannot do anything to Bertholdt, that they will just have to wait for him to come out, and that in the meantime they should attack the armored Titan. And on the ground, of course, Eren and Reiner were fighting, and for most of the time Reiner had the upper hand. Like, nothing that Eren did damaged Reiner, and every punch which Reiner made was always really effective against Eren. And actually I expected this because I think I was talking about this, I don't remember exactly in which discussion, but I talked about the fact that I do believe that the Armored Titan is probably the best Titan of these three, of the female Armored and Colossal Titan, at least regarding fighting. Like he seemed to have a perfect combination of speed, protection, strength, you know. And I'm really curious if this whole thing is connected to the personality or the human form of the Titan Shifter. Like, I'm really curious if your Titan form is something which generates randomly, or if your Titan form is connected to who you are as a human. For example, Annie is, as a human, a agile, quick fighter, skillful fighter, and the female Titan was also having similar traits. She was fast, she was agile. Annie was able to really control her movements to the extent where she was able to use her own techniques. Then if you look at the armored Titan, like, just like Reiner, he looks a bit, I don't know, muscular, if that makes sense. He looks strong. He is strong. He relies more on his pure force than his skill. He's physically strong, just as Reiner is, as a human, really physically strong. And then if you look at Bertholdt, like his Titan definitely needs to be used in a strategic way, because he's really slow, but he's gigantic, and I think you need to think a lot while using the Colossal Titan. And Bertholdt seemed to be as an intelligent person. Well, just as here, you know, he wasn't able to damage them with his fighting, so that's why he used steam to protect himself. Like, so if someone like an Armin would have a Titan form, his Titan form would probably be a weaker Titan. You know, he wouldn't be physically as gifted as Reiner, but maybe he would have some traits or some special elements to him which would be really beneficial to him, but he would need to think and strategically use them, if that makes sense. Another question which I have is if can maybe you as a human make your Titan form better? Like, for example, if, I don't know, Eren would now start to do exercises and he would gain muscle, would his Titan form become more stronger? I mean, you definitely cannot influence on all things, because, I mean, for example, the Colossal Titan is gigantic. And yes, Bertholdt is one of the tallest people in this show, but he isn't that much taller than everyone else. So there are definitely some things which are randomly decided or gifted, you know, that it's like genetics, you know, you maybe will be tall, maybe you won't, you cannot really influence on something like that. But I'm curious if you can, I don't know, as I said, start exercising, gain muscle. Would that mean that your Titan form would also gain muscle? Would that mean that your Titan form would also gain more pure, raw physical strength, you know? So as I said, Reiner had the upper hand, like, for the most of the beginning of their battle. Mikasa tried to help Eren. As I said, she tried to pierce through Reiner's armor, but it never worked. I mean, he probably noticed her, right? But he never did anything to her. So, as I said, I don't think their intention is to damage anyone here. And there was a moment where Reiner was like approaching Eren, and Eren was like thinking about this whole situation, remembering some of the past things. They didn't really know how to feel while watching that scene. At the same time, the music was uplifting. At the same time, I was shocked by seeing the things which Eren said, and at the same time being so calm. I don't know, it felt conflicting. And I guess this whole scene somewhat embodied my whole feelings through this episode. Like, I guess that scene was my feelings in a nutshell, if that makes sense. Then Eren was, of course, trying to get up. He was trying to strike back at Reiner, and again, he failed. Reiner punched him in the face, and he flew away. And then Eren started to remember his memories from their training days. He remembered how he was fighting with Annie, she wasn't holding back, and although he was the physically superior enemy, she defeated him because she used fighting techniques against him, and then also wanted Eren to learn how to fight. And then also Mikasa said that she wants to learn this technique, and Annie and Mikasa were about to fight. I'm also curious who won that fight, because both of them are really good fighters. Like, regarding the maneuvering gear and basically Titan killing, I think Mikasa is better, because like Mikasa was the first on the top 10 recruits list. But again, Annie knows her special fighting techniques, martial arts, which were taught to her by her father, so I don't know who won that fight. It would be interesting to see who won it. But regardless, before I move on, I just want to say that I really like that they're doing this, showing us some flashbacks from their training days, because I always had a sense while watching season 1 that it felt that there could be more. Like, I'm not saying that I wasn't satisfied with how things were going, but I always said that a lot of characters who I expected to be featured a lot weren't featured that much. Like, during the training days, we were mostly focused on Eren, you know? So it's really cool to see more scenes, more of the story, more of what happened in those times. So and then Eren started to think, why the hell is he remembering this whole thing? But then when when the fight continued between him and Reiner, he started to use these fighting techniques. And also later on, he says to Reiner that this was your first mistake. Someone taught him. Now I don't know to whom he was specifically referring. I suppose Annie. But anyways, I guess he now knows these fighting techniques. He used them against Reiner. He threw Reiner on the ground and was able to tear apart his arm. And then he also retreated, because just as Armin said to Eren that the main goal of Reiner is to kidnap Eren, so that's why he needs to make sure that he doesn't allow this to happen. So yeah, Eren did retreat, and on the top of the wall, Hannes arrived on it. And when he spotted the Colossal Titan, he became really pissed off. His hand was shaking, which was noticed by Kirsta. Now I suppose it's because of what happened in episode 1. Also, what I want to add here is that lately me and my friend were trying to find if there's any site where I could watch Attack on Titan which would have better subtitles, and that at the same time such a site wouldn't have any drawbacks regarding me eventually editing that anime footage with my reaction. We were mostly trying to test like the first episode from season 1 to really make sure that I wouldn't like misclick something, that I wouldn't get spoiled for anything. And while I was on a site, I like went through the episode, like skipped quickly through some scenes to see how it works, if there's any lag or anything like that. And then I have seen that final scene with Hannes, you know, when he came and tried to rescue Carla. He said that he will try to kill that Titan. On that side, in the subtitles, he said something like that he will fight because he also owes something to this family, I suppose the Jäger family. And I don't remember this being said in the episode 1 which I have watched. Like, I don't remember thinking about a possibility that Hannes would owe anything to this family, that Hannes would have any connections with, I don't know, Dr. Jäger. I don't know, maybe Dr. Jäger did something in the past. Maybe he helped him. Maybe he helped him with a sickness, you know, because I still remember that there was a sickness which Dr. Jäger is known to cure it. Like, I don't remember what exactly it was, but I know that in episode 1 they were talking about how Dr. Jäger saved that village, right? So maybe that's that, you know. But I just wanted to highlight this because before I wasn't aware of this. I guess this is just a new layer to this whole story of Hannes on why does he feel so, in a way, guilty for what happened with Carla. Then on the ground, Hanji approached Eren and said to him that he needs to try to get Reiner back on the ground. And Eren understood her and nodded back to her. And Hanji was just ecstatic, enthusiastic to see that, to be able to communicate with a Titan. And this thing, and basically most of this episode, was really a testament to Eren's progress. As I said, he really showed, there's such a great difference from his previous fights to this point, where even though this had to be almost like a traumatic experience for him, knowing that he looked up to someone who basically is at fault for his most tragic experience as a child. So for him to be so calm and composed and be able to fight Reiner the way he did, and this was the biggest stage. This was the moment he waited for. This was the thing which he expected, that one day he will be able, at least that's how I feel, that's how I always felt through season 1. That's how I felt in episode 5 from season 1, when he had that eye contact with Bertholdt, when Bertholdt was in his Titan form. It always felt as if Eren was destined to be the one who will fight them. And also in a way, don't get me wrong, but also I think that Eren likes, I wouldn't say fame, but he likes glory, if that makes sense. Of course, yeah, he's doing this whole thing because of what happened to him. He's not doing this only because he wants to be seen as a hero, but I think he slightly cares about that. I think he cares about the public perception in a way, for example, in season 1, episode 3, when he wasn't able to use the maneuvering gear, he was embarrassed because he wasn't able to maintain balance, he fell on the ground, and that's of course probably most of people would be embarrassed, but some less, some more, I don't think that Mikasa would be embarrassed because of that. But anyways, yeah, Eren seems to me as if he, even though he wants to achieve peace, he wants to save the world, he wants to kill all the Titans because that's the right thing to do, save the world. At the same time, I also think that he also wants to save the world and at the same time then be viewed as the savior of the world. I don't think that Mikasa would want that. I don't think that Mikasa, if she would be the one to kill every Titan, I don't think she would care for how people see her. But I think Eren does. I think Eren would actually care. He would want to be viewed as the hero of this world. So again, this was his stage. This was his moment, This was his time to revenge. Not just take revenge on the Armored and Colossal Titan, also take revenge on Reiner and Bertholdt. And yes, granted, they're basically same characters, the Armored Titan is Reiner, but just as I said, I have different feelings, or at least had different feelings towards the Armored Titan, and I have different feelings towards Reiner. And I think Eren has a similar view on this. He wants to revenge to the Armored Titan in a way for what the Armored Titan did by attacking humans, by breaching Wall Maria, and he wants to revenge to Reiner for this whole betrayal and all the lies, if that makes sense. So then Reiner, as I also already mentioned before, threw off a piece of his armor, started to run quickly towards Eren. That was at first a challenge for Eren, because for him it was difficult to dodge his tackle, but then he succeeded. Grabbed Reiner around his neck, threw him on the ground, and basically had him in a position which he wanted. Then Hanji realized that ancient armors had some spots which were basically the weaknesses of the armor. She supposed that that's the same with the Armored Titan, and she wanted to exploit that, which then Mikasa did. Mikasa then went and cut Reiner's legs. Reiner was then immobilized, he wasn't able to move, and then basically made that Titan scream. And it was interesting because Bertholdt knew what he was saying, but Eren didn't. Maybe Eren, I don't know, maybe it's because Eren doesn't know that language yet. Maybe with experience he will know what these screams mean. Or maybe Reiner and Bertholdt have their special language, like a code, that a specific scream means something, if that makes sense. Regardless, Bertholdt knew what Reiner was trying to achieve. Bertholdt then decided that he will fall over. And basically then was that final scene when his head was burning. and he was basically falling towards them. And I talked about this a bit in my post-reaction thoughts. And now as I was editing, I realized, because now I had the ability to watch it in like slow motion, frame by frame, I realized how big his mouth is. I didn't realize that initially as I was watching the episode, because everything happened so quickly that I didn't really process what happened. And also at the same time, like, I never seen someone like the Armored Titan standing right next to him, so that I would actually have a better sense of his size. Regardless, in some angles, in some scenes, it seemed as if the mouth of the Colossal Titan is big enough to basically swallow both Eren and Reiner in their Titan forms, like you can see in this angle. But then here in this image, it seemed as if that's not the case. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. But anyways, while rewatching this, I got a new idea, which is similar to what I said in my post-reaction thoughts. Like, he will probably try to swallow both, right? I initially said that he will try to swallow Reiner, but I guess he will try to get both Reiner and Eren somehow. And then he will probably like fully transform and start to run away. I mean, and it's possible because, like, if we look at Annie in the Forest of the Giant Trees, she went out of her Titan body and in a few minutes fully transformed again. So it is possible to have enough energy to fully transform in a short interval, short period of time. But again, you could say that he's the Colossal Titan, and that maybe takes more energy. But at the same time, he didn't fully transform in the first place, so maybe he was preserving some energy for this. That could make sense. And yeah, you could also say, why would he try to run away? He is slow, but he's gigantic. He makes giant steps probably. And at the same time, maybe he's also pretending to be so slow, you know? Maybe he was so slow on purpose when he was fighting the soldiers because he didn't want to damage them. Regardless, I think that's going to happen. Like, they're not doing this for no reason. They're not trying to kill themselves or anything like that. So they're definitely doing this with a purpose. Yeah, now for the information card. Now this information card was about the martial arts of a Titan. It said that also a Titan can use martial arts, which is better than trying to use like brute force. That also a Titan can be a better fighter if that Titan is using fighting techniques, which was of course evident through this episode. Of course, I suppose that it only applies to some Titans, like someone like Eren or Annie, or I guess even Reiner, though in this episode, like, he felt fast. Reiner felt fast, but he didn't feel agile, you know. His body control wasn't so fast as Eren's or Annie's, I think. So I think it also depends on what Titan you are, because I don't think that someone like Ymir in her Titan form or Bertholdt in his Titan form could use fighting techniques. I mean, it doesn't make sense, you know, for their size. Like, they won't achieve anything. Now my predictions for the upcoming episode. Now I think that this fight is over. This Titan fight, I think, as I said, I'm almost certain that Bertholdt will pull something off which will help them escape. Like, I don't believe that this fight will continue the way it has in this episode. Like, especially considering that there isn't a lot episodes in this season, and the pacing has always been really quick. Like, I don't believe that we will get another episode of Eren physically fighting with Bertholdt and Reiner. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think the battle will be over. There's a chance that maybe Eren's side wins, and basically maybe Bertholdt and Reiner die, or something else happens to them. Maybe they escape on their own, or the other possibility is that basically they succeed and capture Eren and they get away with him. Or again, we could have a flashback episode, which is highly possible, which I would also love, because I'm really curious to know more about Reiner, Bertholdt, or Annie. And at the same time, there's a possibility that maybe we will follow Erwin, Levi, or Jean. So that would be also cool if we would follow them. But I suppose we will probably just continue where we left off. But now for my final thought, I just wanted to say that this whole thing changed my view on Anya a bit. Like, if you remember my reactions and discussions to the Female Titan arc episodes, I wasn't as conflicted as I am now. Like, yeah, I did feel a bit bad for Annie. I said that there is definitely a reason behind her doing all these things, but at the same time, like with her, it was a bit different back then, because the first thing being that she was a bit quiet. She wasn't spending that much time with other, like, we never really knew her, you know? So there was also a possibility that she's pretending, that you don't know who she really is. And like before her reveal, she seemed to go a bit crazy, you know? And seeing how she enjoyed killing people, which I still don't understand why she did that. I still have a problem with that. Like, even if there's a reason which justifies their actions, there's no reason which would justify that she had to be enjoying killing people. I'm definitely not saying that I now view everything that happened differently, but what I'm trying to say is that now seeing Reiner and Bertholdt being titans, seeing, as I said, in this episode it felt as if they were holding back. Even in the previous episode, seeing how hard the whole thing is, this everything is to them. I'm just trying to say that the more this show progresses, the more I sympathize with them in a way. The more I believe that there actually could be a justifiable reason for this. So again, I just wanted to highlight that also my perception, my view on Annie changed a bit. Now to grade this in the previous episode, because I didn't do that with the previous one, now I will first start with the previous one, and I suppose I can give it a 10. Or something like 9.8 or something like that, like definitely the highest rated episode so far. I don't even need to explain this, I think. Like, it was done exceptionally well, definitely the best episode so far in my eyes. And this episode, again, I also really enjoyed, like, the show is continuing to make me feel different emotions. As I said, through this episode I was so conflicted. On one way, proud on Eren, on the other hand, scared for Reiner. I'll give this episode a 9.1. Again, an exceptional episode, and I really enjoyed it. But yeah, that wraps up this video. I just want to say that I hope that you're not bothered by the lightning today, because I'm filming during the night. Like, I usually try to film during the day to make sure that the light is the best possible, that the image looks better. But I suppose that at the same time this is not as important with the discussion. And also I just wanted to say that I hope that I wasn't too silent in this discussion. I know that in my earlier videos I was really silent. Some people described me as soft-spoken. Especially back then when I didn't have this microphone, I knew that I definitely need to fix this. And I think that I succeeded, that I'm not so silent anymore. But still, it sometimes happens to me that I forget about this. Like, sometimes when I talk, I get too relaxed, I forget about anything and just talk. And then the result can be that I forget about things like trying to speak up, trying to be as loud as possible without being too loud. And if I was too silent in this episode, I would really appreciate if you could let me know, so that I know that this is not acceptable and that I need to speak up. Anyways, hope you all are safe, healthy, have a great day, and I'll see you when I watch episode 8.